Now, just to let you know, I do understand that whole multiculturalism push because here are my clogs. I clean them for you. Clean them up with a high pressure hose, because I wear them so much in the garden. Now, I show you these to let you know that, look, as the son of Dutch migrants, I understand that for the rest of your life, you do have these torn allegiances. Australia, and in my case, Holland, you do. And I am quite aware that many other migrants would know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, for me, I therefore know how important it is for the government to encourage not this tribalism thanks to multiculturalism, emphasising what divides us, but what its job is, its primary job must be to promote a love or loyalty to Australia, so that I don't just have my clogs, I have my R.M. Williams boots as well. So, it is no surprise to me that other immigrants understand this extremely well, better than most Australians born here. A new survey of migrants and refugees new to Australia shows they don't just plan to become citizens, but 77% of them, just like me, I'm actually the son of migrants, but just like me, think it's important to celebrate Australia Day. Now, this survey was commissioned by a refugee and migrant agency, AMES, says most newcomers they polled say they plan to mark Australia Day. And Australia Day events make them feel more welcome in our new country. And I thought the left really wanted to make migrants feel more welcome. Well, then back Australia Day. Instead, we see so many Australians of the cultural elites on the ABC, on SBS, trashing this day, telling new migrants this country is evil, it's sick, it's not worth celebrating, not worth their loyalty. There's no Australia Day of the Australian Open even, can you believe that? Joining me each Wednesday is National Senator Matt Canavan, the former Resources Minister. Matt, lovely to see you. What are you doing to mark the day?
Well, unfortunately, Andrew, I am starting the day working, and I feel a little bit torn now. I think because if you're working, you're also it's displaying your woking as well, your wokeness if you do that apparently now. But I've got to have some media commitments in the morning, so I'll stick to those. But then I'm here in Canberra, I was here for the lovely service to celebrate Jim Mullen's amazing life today, and so then I'll, after that, head home, and the great day out on the beach in Yeppoon is always where I go in the evening, so see lots of people down there. It'll be a great evening.
Yeah, but the point I'm making, right, a country that won't celebrate itself, and particularly a very heavily migrant country we've got these tribalism influences going, that seems to me suicidal. It seems to me absolutely suicidal. I'm sure, somewhere in your heart you got a little thing beating for Italy there, but I mean, with your own background, but seriously, we need to be emphasising a love for this country. Instead, we get this trashing of it.
Yeah, I've got to be a bit careful there, Andrew, with Section 44 of the Constitution. It got me in a bit of trouble a few years ago. But,
sorry, I shouldn't have taken you back
But
there.
yes, I'm the proud grandson of Italian migrants. And you're absolutely right with what you said, because they were very proud of their heritage. And it was a very Italian household. You never went home hungry from Nonna's place. But they were also very proud of the country they'd moved to and tried really hard to assimilate, integrate into Australian society. It was very tough for them because they came to Australia quite late, and especially for Nonna, who didn't work and was largely at home. But she did still learn English, and she tried her best to be part of the community because they love this country, love the opportunity provided them. People don't come here because they hate the country. They come here because they love it and they want to be part of it, and it's got something to offer. And what the worst aspect of the trashing of Australia today is the complete ingratitude from people who don't have any inkling or understanding of how lucky they have it. We are so lucky to either have been born here or to have had the right to an opportunity to move here. This is one of the best countries in the world. It probably is the best country in the world to bring up a family. It's safe, it's secure, it's prosperous. Maybe we should have one day. It's not perfect, but maybe one day of the year we should just pause, take a breath, and thank God, or whoever you respect in life, thank them for how lucky you are to be here. I certainly feel that, and we'll be celebrating that tomorrow.
Now, I mentioned at the top of the show, Matt, Green Senator Lydia Thorpe, her Australia Day message to Aborigines was to keep fighting a war. how does a Member of Parliament say that kind of stuff and still be a Member of Parliament?
Look, Andrew, I've got nothing against Lydia being a Member of Parliament myself. Good on her, good luck to her. She's been elected. I personally think the more her message does get publicity, the lower the Greens vote will be, because I think a lot of Greens voters, modern Green voters, don't realise they're voting for a radical Marxist anarchist party and might be turned off by her kind of rhetoric. So all power to Lydia, get her out there, get the message out there, because she is exposing the real heart of the Greens. They tend to actually try and hide that quite successfully through the likes of Bob Brown and what have you, but Lydia is exposing what they're really about. They hate our society. They want to completely and fundamentally change it. And again, what I don't want to see us continue in conflict or in war. Yes, of course, there were tensions in our past, but we have built a largely harmonious and prosperous society. What we should focus on now is making a good society better. Making a society that's achieved great strides go further. And so, of course, we have issues in remote and regional Aboriginal communities. We should focus, get our hands dirty and focus on making their lives better. Now, I don't see how a voice will do that because increasingly you can see with what's happening in Alice Springs that the advocates of the voice, the people designing the voice, what they're really designing is not a voice. They're designing an ivory tower. They're designing a massive ivory tower that will sit here in Canberra and be completely disconnected to the lives and troubles and issues of Aboriginal Australians on the ground. You can see that in the last few months where they've been blindsided. You've had the Indigenous Minister, Linda Burney, almost a year in her job now, be completely blindsided with what's happening in Alice Springs. What has she been doing for the past 10 months? Why hasn't she got her handle on this before she had to be forced, dragged kicking and screaming by the national media to get up there and see this on the ground? Instead, she's been distracted and obsessed by this ridiculous ivory tower and what they call a voice, which will do nothing for Aboriginal Australians, just waste a lot of money and give more power to bureaucrats here in Canberra.
To be fair to her, she has been to Alice Springs before, but I don't see any practical results of.
But what's she been doing?
And it took.
Yeah.
Well, exactly. Well, what she's been doing is constructing this castle in the air, this voice. And by the way, I think there's something like 32 mini voices around the country as well. This is going to be the most total bureaucracy, and they're not replacing anything. They're in addition to all the other Aboriginal organisations that are advising, that are lobbying, that are active, being activists. This is going to be, it's going to be enormous. But listen quite quickly about Australia Day and addressing this, particularly from the corporates, this attempt to delegitimise it and say you don't have to work on Australia Day because it's so offensive, By the way, anyone choosing to work tomorrow instead of taking the public holiday, you shouldn't be getting your double time or your time and a half for working on a public holiday. All right, let's end that rort straight away. But quickly, you have a plan to address this.
Well, I think we should settle the question. Obviously, there are some people out there that want to change the date. And we've all seen this show and movie before, Andrew. What they're trying to do is chip away at it year by year and just demoralise everybody, because clearly the vast majority of Australians like and prefer and want to see Australia where it is, including the majority of Aboriginal Australians I speak to. I haven't seen any polling on that, but there's plenty of Aboriginal Australians who have no problem with the day being where it is. So let's settle it. Rather than this slow burn of delegitimising Australia Day, why don't we, when we have the voice referendum later this year, let's add a question to the referendum about, do you want to keep Australia Day on the 26th of January? I'm happy to be guided and listen to the Australian people. So rather than the corporate world trying to impose their woke ideology on the rest of us, why don't they listen to the people? Here's a voice. Here's a chance to have a voice of the Australian people and let them decide when the date should be.
I love it, but Labor will run a million miles from your idea. Let us push that idea on this show. Love it. Matt Canavan, thank you for making, setting up my year ahead. It's something to campaign for. Appreciate it.